The girl in the red scarf. I've always said that you can tell a lot about a person by how they treat your home. Not just the people in it, but the things that make it yours. A home breathes, you see. It remembers kindness, and it knows when it's being betrayed. That's what made that night so unbearable. The night I realized that the girl I'd welcomed, the girl who rocked my grandbabies to sleep and ate at my table, was stealing from me. When my son and his wife took that trip to Dubai, they left the children, Sarah and little Danny, with me. It wasn't the first time, of course. I've practically raised those two. But since my arthritis had gotten worse and the stairs in this old house were getting meaner by the day, we'd hired a babysitter to help me during the evenings. Her name was Maya. She was 21, polite, and had that gentle sing-song voice that made children instantly trust her. The kind of girl who wore floral dresses and tied her hair back with bright scarves. Red was her favorite, I noticed. She always smelled faintly of vanilla and lilac, which lingered in the hall after she left, as if she was still there. At first, she was a blessing. Danny adored her. Sarah followed her around like a shadow. I told my son that I couldn't have asked for better help. But then small things began to change. Things only someone like me, who's lived in this house for 40 years, would notice. The first was my silver bracelet, a gift from my late husband, James. It wasn't valuable to anyone else, but I kept it in a little box on my dresser. One morning, it was gone. I tore through the room, my hands trembling so hard I could hardly open the drawers. It wasn't there. I told myself maybe I'd misplaced it. I had been forgetful lately. That's what old age does, doesn't it? But deep down, something itched at me. That same night, I noticed Maya's wrist glinting under the kitchen light as she washed the dishes. Just a flash of silver, but enough to make my stomach twist. When she turned around, it was gone. A few days later, Sarah came to me with a question that nearly stopped my heart. "Grandma," she said, her little face so serious, "why did you tell Maya you keep your jewelry in the blue box?" "I didn't, sweetheart," I said. "Why do you ask?" Sarah shrugged. "She said you told her it was okay to play dress-up with your old jewelry when you're asleep." My hand went cold. I told Sarah not to touch anything and kissed her forehead. But that night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my armchair in the hallway, wrapped in my shawl, the grandfather clock ticking beside me. The shadows stretched long and still, and the house was quiet, except for the wind moaning against the window panes. At 1:17 a.m., I heard a creak, then another, light footsteps on the stairs. I could see her, Maya, moving carefully in the dark, a small flashlight in her hand. She slipped into my bedroom like a ghost. I waited. My pulse thudded in my ears. After a moment, she came out again, clutching something shiny, the locket my son gave me last Christmas. She tucked it into her pocket and went down the hall toward the children's room. That's when I moved. "Looking for something, dear?" I said, my voice low but steady. She froze. The beam of her flashlight trembled as it caught my face. For a second, her eyes widened. Then she smiled, as if caught doing something harmless. "Oh, Mrs. Whitfield, you scared me." She laughed softly. "I just heard a noise. I was checking." I cut her off. "Don't lie to me, child. I saw you." Her smile faltered. "Saw me what?" "Take what isn't yours." We stared at each other, the air between us thick as wet wool. She was younger, stronger, but I had something she didn't. The unshakable calm of a woman who's buried her husband, raised 2 sons, and lived long enough to see the masks people wear. She took a step closer. "You're tired, Mrs. Whitfield. Maybe you thought you saw something. Empty your pockets." Her face hardened. "I don't think you want to do this." "Oh, but I do." She hesitated. For a moment, I thought she might run, but then she slowly reached into her pocket and pulled out my locket, dangling it by the chain. "It was on the floor," she said. "I was going to return it." "You're digging yourself deeper, dear." That's when everything happened so fast. She lunged forward, grabbed my wrist, my arthritic, trembling wrist, and twisted. The locket clattered to the floor. I cried out, but before she could move again, the hallway light snapped on. Sarah was standing there, wide-eyed, holding Danny's toy baseball bat. "Maya?" she whispered. The girl let go of me immediately, her face pale as milk. "Sarah, honey," but Sarah wasn't looking at her. She was looking at me, waiting for me to say something, to make it all make sense. I didn't. Not yet. I picked up the locket and said quietly, "Go back to your room, sweetheart. Grandma's got it handled." Sarah obeyed, but I saw her peeking from the door crack as I led Maya downstairs, every step echoing in my chest like a drumbeat. In the kitchen, under the harsh light, the truth sat between us like a third person. "You've been stealing from me," I said. Her eyes glistened, but her voice was cold. "You think you know everything, don't you? About me, about this house." "I know enough," she laughed bitterly. "Then maybe you know that your son isn't who you think he is." My breath caught. "What are you talking about?" She leaned forward, her voice a hiss. "Ask him about the debts, the loan sharks, the reason he hired me. He owed me." My heart lurched. "That's a lie." "Is it?" "He told me I could take what I needed, said you'd never notice a few old trinkets." For a long time I said nothing. I wanted to deny it, to call her bluff. But deep down, something in her tone felt real. My son had been distant lately. He'd borrowed money before, more than once. Could he really? No. I refused to believe it. I stood, straightening my spine. "Leave, now, before I call the police." She stared at me a moment longer, then snatched her red scarf off the chair, tied it tightly around her neck, and stormed out into the night. The door slammed so hard the windows rattled. The next morning I found the rest of my jewelry gone. Every box, every drawer, stripped bare. My stomach dropped. She'd taken it all. I called my son. His voice trembled when I told him. "Mom," he said, "Maya's gone missing." "What?" "They found her car near the bridge. Her phone, too. No sign of her." My heart turned to ice. I told him what happened. The confrontation, the locket, everything. There was silence on the line. Then a whisper. "Mom, listen carefully. Don't tell the police anything about me owing her money." That's when I knew she'd been telling the truth. They never found Maya's body. Weeks passed. The children went back to their routines, and life crept toward normal again. But something inside me stayed unsettled. Sometimes at night, I swore I could still smell her perfume, lilac and vanilla, lingering in the hallway. Then one evening, as I was folding laundry in my bedroom, I heard a faint clink. I turned toward the dresser. The little blue jewelry box, the one she'd taken everything from, was back. My breath caught in my throat. It sat there, perfectly centered, dustless. I hadn't seen it since the night she disappeared. Hands shaking, I opened it. Inside were all my missing things, the bracelet, the earrings, even the locket. And on top, folded neatly, was her red scarf. Beneath it, a note in shaky handwriting. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. But he made me. He said he'd kill me if I told. Please tell Sarah I'm sorry for lying to her." M. I stared at the note until the words blurred. My son had come by earlier that day. He'd been in this room. He'd said he wanted to help clean up old things. And suddenly, the truth came together like a cruel puzzle. Maya hadn't run. She'd been silenced. By him. That night, I sat in my armchair again, holding the red scarf in my lap. Outside, the wind howled like a grieving mother. I knew what I had to do. Tomorrow, I'd call the police, not to report theft, but murder, because some homes remember kindness, and some remember betrayal.